All right. We're good to go. Welcome back. Welcome back. How's everyone doing? Morning, morning. Morning to all. $100,000 likes, sure. I'll take it. Vicente, Omarito. What's up? Having a good week so far. That's good, Tim. Congrats. Yeah, good week so far, definitely. Yesterday was a good day. Yeah, what a breakdown of that 340 level. I didn't catch the first move. We can talk through it a little bit. I think it's a good. Maybe it makes for a good little video tonight. Actually, yesterday was a day that required patience. A day that required not to chase. First move, very aggressive, right? Very quick. I did not catch that first move, so I had to wait a little bit longer than usual to find that second entry. And it worked out, right? Waiting for the real entry, waiting for another real setup, not just, chasing because you missed the first original move. Yesterday was a pretty cool day, and we'll get a little bit more into it as we get more people in the chat. We'll talk through it on the futures. Larry, thank you, man. I appreciate that, Larry. $5 donation. Happy CPI day. Is that plant real? No, that's not real. But I do have some real plants in the living room. I like real plants. I like plants. Plant guy. Did I used to be a programmer? No. No, I did not. Why is that? What makes you think I was a programmer? Any videos about futures trading? Not many. No. The futures trading. I mean, I think the most important thing about futures trading is just learning to read the futures, which is something that we do every day here. So that's really the first step. Why NQ and not me? CPI. CPI. If and okay, yeah. Well, I used to write SQL a lot for my old job, but I wouldn't consider that a programmer. But I used to have to use SQL. So I'm sort of familiar with some of the words, some of the wording. Los Franklin, thank you, brother. $20 donation. I appreciate that. Lululemon is dev clothing nowadays. Did I trade at work? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, I traded at work. Big query guy. Yeah, it was actually sort of there's a, in the 1 minute before we get started, there's definitely some things I do miss about working at a corporate headquarters. It's not all, sure, the freedom's nice, what I do now, and I can, do whatever I want. I can make my own days. But, yeah, it was fun to work in a big corporate headquarters. I think there is some pros to that. If you guys are currently in, maybe in a corporate job, corporate headquarters, I miss some things. I'm not gonna lie. I miss the daily interactions. I miss, the not ass kissing, but the impressing of senior management. The doing speeches, doing like managing meetings, running my own conferences and stuff like that. It was fun. I enjoyed that stuff. So there's some things to miss. Yeah, there's definitely some things to miss. I do. Yeah, I miss the interaction in the office for sure. That was a good time. If you like the people you work with, which I did quite a bit, I'm still friends with a lot of them and still talk to them. It's fun. The corporate drama, the corporate drama was a good time. Who's getting fired, who's doing this, who's doing that. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, after 24 years, probably not as fun rut, but, I was there for 4 years. So, I was still having a good time 4 years in. But 24 years, you probably get tired of it. Probably. All right, let's get started. So, today is CPI. Right? Today is CPI. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. It's going to be important. It's going to be, definitely potentially some market moving action here. And we also have jobless claims. So let's just go ahead and get started. Welcome back, guys. Press that like button if you could. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I already am getting the YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, which is very, very common on days like today because we have more people jump in than usual. So sometimes when we get up to 2,000 people in here, it starts to mess up. I don't know why. I pay for really good internet, but I don't know what it is. But anyways, let's see what happens. So today, economic earnings calendar. Let's go ahead and pull that up. I would say, yes. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur full time. I'm not a full. I guess you could say I'm a full time trader. That's what I do for most of my job. I'm here on YouTube. I own real estate investment properties, which I'm actually thinking about buying another one soon. I run a Discord community, which I'm not afraid to say because a lot of people find value from it. So I don't think there's anything, right? People, when they look down on running a trading community, that's part of my job as well, which a lot of people enjoy. It's a great community, and I take it very seriously. So there's money coming in all over the place. That's what I think everyone should desire to do. It's not just, I trade full time. That's my only source of income. I think you should have you should diversify your income sources, which I would not say negatively to anyone, right? If anyone out there listening starts a community of some sense, of a niche that they know and that they're good at, right? Maybe I talked to my friend that's a finance manager for Honda, for a dealership, a finance manager for a dealership. And I told him, hey, you can probably start a little community of, other finance managers, and he's very good. He's probably one of the best in the area. He is the best in the area. And I said, hey, you probably have a lot of tips and tricks and a lot of ways to sell all the back end finance manager shit that everyone gets. The warranties, the gap insurance, the tire protection, all that BS. He's very good at it. He's the best in the area. He makes a lot of money doing it. And I said, hey, you probably could get a nice little community of other finance managers that you could probably, give information to and help them out. So there's always niches, guys. There's ways to make money online. If you're good at something, if you have value to provide, you should absolutely do so. There's nothing negative about that. So let's get started. Economic earnings calendar, right? That's the first thing. Jobless claims, right? 8:30. That's going to be big. Oh, I guess sort of, but it will be overlooked by CPI, right? CPI, Consumer Price Index, year over year, month over month. That's what we're getting this morning at 8:30. So we'll see what happens there. Tomorrow, PPI, just as important. I guess maybe not just as important, but important as well. PPI tomorrow, CPI today, jobless claims today. That's your economic calendar, okay? Very important today. Let's see what happens. Let's pull up the earnings calendar. I think you did have some earnings this morning. I think you had BABA this morning, which I think is higher, and you had Disney yesterday, which I think is pretty much flat. Really not much movement. Let me see what's Disney doing. Yeah, pretty much flat on Diz. Really nothing going on there. So Disney yesterday, Trade Desk yesterday, Wynn Resorts yesterday, this morning BABA. And that's pretty much it for the earnings this week. The rest of the week's just going to be movement off of CPI and PPI. Yeah, that's really going to be the rest of it. So a little bit of Disney yesterday, pretty much flat. The big move on Disney was probably already done since that news that came out. But yeah, so really nothing too important besides CPI and PPI coming out here this morning. That's what we're going to be more focused on. Some big breakdowns yesterday, right? Some pretty major breakdowns yesterday. Some major levels that are broken on the NASDAQ. Some major levels were broken on individual stocks. NVIDIA broke 440. Tesla broke some key support around 260s. Apple broke down again. So some pretty big breakdowns. One of the bigger breakdowns to be watching, I think, is Meta. Meta broke that 310 level finally. Is under the 20 SMA. So some very important little moves that happened yesterday. Now, of course, in about 20 minutes, we'll have to see if that is reversed, if that is, added on to. Is there more downside from CPI? Does CPI pop us back higher? That's what we're going to look at in about 20 minutes. So we'll have to get some confirmation there. But we will look at some names here, get a feel for what happened yesterday, just sort of catch up after that big move that happened pretty much right in the morning, which is what I will get into right now. So, coming into yesterday, we were talking about this 15,340 level. Let me go ahead and let me get the 5-day 5 minute here. Coming into yesterday, and this caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie, right? And I'm okay to admit this. I was caught off guard by the straight down flush under 340 yesterday, which caused me to actually miss the first short side setup. You had previous lows here, you had previous lows here, you had previous lows here. I thought there would be a little bit more of a fight at this 340 level yesterday on the NASDAQ. However, it was just straight through it like it wasn't even there. It was a hot knife through butter right through those levels, right? So that was quick and very aggressive. If we go to the 1 minute chart and we zoom into yesterday morning, right? You had a little bit of a dance, but it did not hold up for any longer than, what is that, 5 minutes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the 6th minute of the day, just a knife through butter. And this candle right here, this probably should have gave me a little bit more confirmation or a little bit more interest, right? You guys can see right here. This candle right here was the key candle of yesterday morning. Can anyone see it? What was the key candle of yesterday morning? It was this candle right here, right? That green candle that broke under 340, rejected 340, right? Look at this candle. See how the wick, it wicked back up and it failed to hold above that 340? This right here was the key candle. After this rejection candle right here, big aggressive flush. I did not catch this move. It was a little bit quick, a little bit too quick for me. And I just didn't really have that confirmation. Now, this is where, when I was, in the chat yesterday, this is where I was talking to the group saying, hey, if you just missed this move, right? If you just missed this move, you do not now, 10 minutes, 20 minutes into the market, you're not now finding new short opportunities. You're not out there saying, oh, I missed it, I got to chase this, right? You need to wait. There's always that second, after that big aggressive morning move, there's one of two things. One of two things happen. You either get the consolidation like we got yesterday, which fails and makes a new leg, or you get the bounce, right? The aggressive bounce back up. Now, the worst thing you could do as a trader, at least in my eyes, maybe not for your portfolio, but for your mentality, the worst thing you can do for your mentality, for your emotions, for your confidence, right, is to miss this move, in my opinion, right, is to miss this move, right, chase it, start to enter shorts here, and then watch this thing bounce back up to opening levels. That is the worst possible thing to do, and I will never put myself in that situation. I hate that, right? That's I've done that, right? I've missed the morning move. I've gotten FOMO. I've got, I took the late puts, the puts that where everyone's taking profits, and then this thing bounces in my face. I first missed the move, and then I lost money on the bounce. Not something I wanted to get into yesterday. So I was telling the group, hey, let's wait this out. Let's see where that next leg is. There was a channel being formed, right? Very clear channel, sort of this little half an hour long little consolidation. Let's wait to see which side this breaks. Do we break back to the upside, or do we break and make a new leg lower? And right here, right, when we broke this leg lower, this is where I took my second trade of the day, and I nailed Meta to the downside. This was an area to stay patient, right? Stay patient and wait for the next move. This was not the area to start trying to chase, what's going to happen next. So a very interesting day yesterday. It was a cool day. It was definitely a test of patience. If you missed that first leg, it was a test of patience here to wait for that next clear move. And the second leg lower was actually probably even better. It was even more aggressive. It was nice and slippery and some really nice downside action. So that was yesterday in a nutshell for me. Nice trade on Meta, which we can go over today. Now, where are we, right? Where are we after yesterday's downside? I'm going to go ahead and turn off this volume. So, the NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ came back down into this little consolidation area. You guys see all these 4-hour wicks? Wick here, wick here, wick here. All these 4-hour wicks, this demand here. It's around that 15,200 level, right? 15,200 level, you guys can see we are sort of holding that general zone here today, right? That 15,200 demand. Now, what is the key today? The key in my eyes today, right? This is the key. The key takeaway of what happens here on CPI or what happens here intraday is the 15,340 level that we flushed yesterday, right? This is going to be the key in my eyes. Do you reject this 15,340 level? Do you make a lower high, or does CPI get us back above that previous quadruple bottom? This right here, I think, will be a very telling level today at the 15,340, right? Do you come back up? Do you reject the previous low? Do you reject this previous low? Do you reject this previous low? Do you reject this previous low? And do you reject, right, that area that just caused the downside flush yesterday? Do you come up and do you reject this? If you do reject this level here, I think you will probably continue to see weakness, right? If you cannot get over 15,340 on the NASDAQ futures, I think it is very possible to see continuation of weakness. If you are to regain that level today on CPI or intraday, if you are to regain this level, right, then I think the market just sort of flattens out, right? It's not going to, give you another big leg to the downside, at least in the short term. If this turns back into support, then I think the market sort of chills out on the downside. I'm not going to say that it's going to go up because there is still a lot of supply levels above to be watching. But if you start to see a little bit of consolidation, a little bit of dance around that 15,340, if you start to hold above it, then I think that's probably where this market can sort of maintain itself above the 15,340. So that's my main watch today, right? If you get this nasty rejection of 340 today, that's going to be my confirmation for further downside off a little supply rejection here. If you get above it, I don't really want to short back into it. So that's going to be a very key level today in my eyes, the 15,340 zone, the previous quadruple bottom here that we flushed below yesterday. This could be a really nice break and retest rejection for more downside. Definitely something I will be watching. 50 SMA, you guys can see right here, is sort of turning into a rejection this morning, right? Look at this. See this little 50 SMA this morning? Rejection, rejection, rejection. Look at the pre-market action near that 50 SMA. So that's also very interesting. I'm not too focused on that today because it is pre-market. We sort of tried to hold it, right? We tried to hold it here yesterday. That's where we got that next leg lower, right? That next leg lower yesterday actually came in after breaking back below the 50 SMA yesterday, right? Look at that. Intraday, next leg lower. Why? We broke that 50. You came back into it. You actually rejected this previous high right here, right? So maybe we even put a level there. Maybe we should be focusing on that level as well, actually. This is 15.3, right? Just from day over day. We probably should understand what happened at 15.3 here. We can see 15.3 rejections, 15.3 rejections, 15.3 rejections in the pre-market, right? And then look at this candle that just was printed here 5 minutes ago at the 15.3 level. So 15.3 also looking a little bit important there as well. You can already see, look at that little reaction off 15.3 as we speak here, which was the rejection, double top rejection from yesterday, right there. So very key. So 15.3, 15.340, some heavy levels above. Watch those. If you cannot get back above 15.340 today, I think the weakness stays in on the NASDAQ. All right. QQQ, 4-hour chart. This is a very, very interesting watch here on the QQQ, and here is why. All right. Let me give you a little bit of the concept behind my thought process here on the QQQ, right? So here's the QQQ. Here's the 4-hour chart. Now, what did we have previously on the Qs? We had some very clear double top rejections. This is back in mid-June to early July. We had a double top rejection around this 371.50 to around the 372 level, right? Anywhere between 371.50 and 372, which is right here and right here, we had two nasty double top rejections there. What happened yesterday? We broke below that 371.50, 372, right? Right there. You can see we broke below it. That is the same level in relation, right? That is the same level as 15.340 on the NASDAQ futures. It's the same level. QQQ, 371.50, 372 equals that 15.340 on the NASDAQ. Previous lows, previous lows, previous lows, previous low. We flushed, right? So if the NASDAQ, if the QQQ cannot get back over this previous double top on the 4-hour chart, I think that leads to more downside, right? If you start to see rejections here, if this becomes another high right here, right? If this becomes another high in the short term around this 371.50, 372, that could sort of lead to that continuation of downside. So that's going to be a major level to watch. The same way I was talking about the 15,340 on the NASDAQ, it's the 371.50 to 372 on the QQQ, right? That's what you got to watch today. Do we get back above this level or do we reject it again? 371.50, 372, that is going to be very key here on the Qs. ES is pretty much sideways, right? It's a little bit of a downtrend, right? You got this little lower high, lower low formation that's forming. But, when I look at this, it's pretty much still sideways, really choppy action. And I would still say, right, that this ES is holding this previous double top high. So the ES is very interesting here. This is going to be very interesting to see whether this is a real breakdown on the ES, right? Or if this is simply just a slow pullback and a bull flag breakout. I'm still not, this ES is keeping me from being too bearish on the market because this is very potentially just a pullback to previous highs, and you can see, right, it showed us over the last 2 days that every time it's wicked down into this level, it has showed us those wicks back to the upside. So I'm not ready to, start taking, bearish swing trades here with what I'm seeing here on the ES. This is definitely not broken yet. You can see the ES 4-hour. You can see the previous double top highs, right? And you can see that every time the S&P 500 has come down into this level, over the last 2 trading days, look at what has happened, right? You got a push down to that level on Tuesday. You got the end of day grind to the upside. You got a very aggressive push down into that level yesterday. You got the upside, which failed again and held again, right? Even just yesterday, you had a double bottom there yesterday. You had a bottom there on Tuesday. So I would not count out, right? I would not count out one bit that the ES could hold this 4480, 4500 demand and could do that little flag move out of this demand, right? It's very possible. And I would not, just brush that possibility off and not pay attention to it, right? That has to be in the back of your head when entering any kind of trades. You have to understand that the ES is still holding that 4480 demand, okay? So that's big, right? You got to sort of zoom out and pay attention to that. We can look at the short term as well, but the longer term idea is also very important. When the ES is at support, NQ is at resistance, you just got to, understand what you're trading, right? You got to understand the difference between tech and you got to understand the difference between what's in the ES, what's in the NASDAQ. The ES is being held up mostly by the XLF, which has been relatively strong, not that strong, but relatively strong. It was held up by energy yesterday. Energy was very strong yesterday, right? What's the XLP doing? XLP's sideways-ish. That's the consumer staples. So the QQQ, the NQ is all tech. The ES is sort of holding, there's some other surrounding sectors that might be holding the ES up a little bit more than the QQQ. If we go into the short term on the ES, right, I think the major level that needs to be broken before you really get, I'm going to actually delete this level. I'll put it back on my screens when I'm trading. But for visual purposes, the level that really needs to break for any type of continuation to the upside on the ES, in my eyes, is the 20 SMA, and it's 4560. You need to get the ES. If you're going to look for this bull flag move, you have to see the ES over 4560, right? You have to see us over that 4560 and that 20 SMA, all right? That's really where I think you need the ES back above for the bulls to feel confident in any type of real continuation move. If you do not get above that, any move to the upside could be a nasty rejection, right? Any move to the upside over the next few weeks, if it's still under this 4560, could be a nasty rejection still. That's my opinion. That's my thought process there on the ES. SPY, same concept, right? You guys can see right here, 451, 445, same concept. Channel, you need to be over that 451, even probably that 452, 20 SMA before anything real happens here on the SPY, right? Just a channel trade, the same as the ES, no different. 445 to 451, right? We'll go over the Dow real quick and the Russell before CPI. You guys can see Dow pretty much the same channel, nothing really going on. If I zoom out on the 4-hour, I can't say that this is not very similar to the SPY potentially as well, right? Look at this little downtrend, right? Little downtrend. Look at the triple bottom here on the Dow, right? Hold, hold, hold. So is this a little flag breakout? It's possible, right? You guys can see. Look at this hold around that 35,250. It's still there. So that's still holding as well. And finally, the Russell. The Russell was able to maintain that 1940 level. That 1940 level we talked about on the Russell, it's been able to maintain that. For the Russell to move higher, it needs to get back over 960. All right? We need to get back over the 960 for the Russell to have any type of upside continuation. All right? Under 940, you move into the 920. So we got about 30 seconds until CPI. Let's go ahead and pop up. What do we want to pop up? SPY? Sort of want to look at the NASDAQ, to be honest. We'll swap between the two. Let's look at the NASDAQ first. Let's see what happens here at this 15,340 level if we get any kind of test in 10 seconds. So let's see. World War II holding the line 1940. Yeah, when I talk about those Russell levels, I think about like the years. All right, a little bit of upside there. Nice. All right, we tapped the 340 there. A little bit of a 340 tap. That's going to be key here. Do we get above it? It's dancing right now. All right, look at the dance. So we know that level is important. Look at that rejection off 340 now. So that's going to be key. Let me go ahead and pop up the CPI numbers. Keep an eye on that. So 3.0. Interesting. It actually went up. It went up versus previous reading. That's intriguing. Right, look at this. So if we zoom in, we zoom up. Here's CPI year over year. You guys can see August 10th, the reading today, 3.2 versus the forecast of 3.3. Previous was 3.0. So it did move up a tad versus previous reading. I don't know how low that they want this reading to be, but I don't think, if you look back in history, right, back 2018, 2020, 2019, 2020, I'm assuming they want it to be around 2%, 2.2, 2.5%. I would say we probably could live around the 3% for some time, right? I don't know, this might be the first reading that sort of says, hey, we're probably going to live around this 3% a little bit. Yeah, they probably want it back to this 2% average over here, right? Is that realistic? And are we going to live around the 3% moving forward? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I guess key takeaway here is actual year over year was actually higher than the previous reading, which is the first time since the peak, right? That's the first time since the peak of CPI that the reading actually increased, right? We definitely don't want it to be back here, right? I don't know. I don't know if I want to get into this conversation, but I don't want interest rates to be. I don't think it's healthy for interest rates to be. Inflation, obviously, we'd like to see lower, but if we sort of go off topic with like interest rates are healthy, right? I think people understand that. Most people understand that. Smart people understand that. You don't want interest rates to be at 0%. It's healthy to have, a 2%, 3%, 4% interest rate, at least you're getting, I think it's probably the healthy range to be in. When you start getting down to the 0% interest rates, I mean, obviously consumers love it, but I don't think it's healthy for us to be sitting at 0% interest on car loans, 0% interest on this, on that. That's a whole nother conversation. So I'm not going to get too deep into that, but yeah. Month over month, what do we get here? Month over month, let's see. Now, of course, I'd like the car interest rates to come down a little bit. I would like that. I think they're a little bit high. I would like a nice 3-4% interest rate on a vehicle purchase. They're at like 7-8%. It's just too much. Month over month, pretty much in line. So really the key takeaway for me here is that this was the first quarter or the first month that we had a higher than previous CPI reading. And you can already see, all right, and this is why I don't really give a shit about any news article, anything. All I care about is levels. And I already know that my level is valid today, right? Look at this. We're looking at it real time. You can see exactly what just happened. Our supply level is still valid. Our 340 zone, it's still very valid. We can see the push and the fade right at that level. QQQ right at our 372. Very, very, makes a lot of sense to me. Where did the ES sort of fade from there? ES just sort of faded in the middle of this channel. Really no real key level there. NASDAQ is the key, right? NASDAQ's just as clear as day right now as we speak, right? I could totally understand what's going on in the NASDAQ here, right? You can totally see what just occurred on CPI by using technical levels. You got to push right into our 15,340 level, which we just talked about before CPI was released. You got to pop into that level, and you get an aggressive fade off that level. If you do not see if the NASDAQ cannot get over this level today, I would expect weakness to stay in this market, right? That's exactly what I said earlier, and I stand by that. If you continue to see the rejections right here, which we just saw in CPI, which was the previous low, if you cannot get over this 340 level, I would expect more weakness. If you get back over it, then, we have to adjust, right? We have to be traders. We have to adjust to what the market's giving us. But if we do not get over this level, if we continue to see this type of price action where we reject it heavily, very, very key, right? That's a very, very key takeaway. All right. Let's see what happens, right? It's still early. We'll see how the market sort of bakes it in. Obviously, I'm going to just monitor it and see, how this sort of sets up. But for now, that's what I'm seeing. Tesla. So, very key level on Tesla here today. What is that? It's 240. 240, very key here. You guys can see right there, 240. You came into 240 yesterday, and we held, right? Right here. 240, you came into that demand below, and you held that level on Tesla. Why is that level so important? 4-hour chart, very clear, right? 4-hour chart there, right? 240 level, 240 level. Very clear, possible demand. Now, if you break 240, right? We talked about this volume profile analysis on Tesla. If you break 240, right, there is not much below. There is not much below under 240. So, if we get more NASDAQ downside today, if you see more aggressive downside, watch Tesla under 240. We've talked about this one. That is a very potential aggressive downside move if you get under that 240 level, right? Very, very key. So please watch that today. You can clearly see the trough in volume here under that 240 level on the volume profile. So big watch there moving forward. If we go to the 30-minute chart, let me show you something that was just as gorgeous as it could be yesterday. Here is the example of a break and retest, right? You guys can see right here, previous demand at the 50 SMA at 252. What did it do after it broke? Break, retest, rejection, retest, rejection. Previous lows turning into double top highs, all right? That is a very, very key takeaway there on Tesla. Previous demand lows from Wednesday and Thursday of last week after breaking below those lows turned into rejections. This is just, there is nothing more important than watching this type of action on the market, right? Understanding this right here, I think, is probably the number one thing to be watching and the number one way to find trade entries in the market, right? Nothing else matters, right? If you see a very clear previous demand turning into rejections, it's just such a great technical formation to be watching. You can see the trade opportunities it provided both yesterday and the day prior, right there at that 252 rejection. Now, if you get another pop into it, look for another rejection. If you break the 240 demand, look for that to turn into rejections as well, right? If the 240 demand turns into rejections, you look for the downside. So Tesla, I would say watch 252 supply, which is very clear, previous lows into rejections, and then watch the break under 240. NVIDIA, what a flush yesterday on NVIDIA, man. What a flush. I mean, just straight down all morning until around 11:15. Bam. Crazy. I didn't catch it. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it to be that aggressive, but it was a very aggressive break. If we go to the 4-hour chart, right? Here's the 4-hour chart on NVIDIA, and you can see why that 440 break was so important, right? You guys can see right here, 440. After breaking that, 440, 440, and we flushed right through it yesterday very aggressively. Now, next level on NVIDIA is right here, 420. 420, 420, right? And you can see we're back at that level right now. So what are we watching today? We are watching to see whether NVIDIA holds or breaks under 420. If we break under that 420 today, if you see this start to turn into a rejection, if you start to see weakness under 420, I would absolutely look for that short side trade. If you get any pump into 440, I would absolutely look for that rejection play, right? So either shorts here at 440 or a break and hold under 420 for more downside. Yeah, I mean, I did say it yesterday on the stream, but it definitely caught me off guard. Absolutely. It did catch me off guard. But yeah, NVIDIA made a huge move for sure. Yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, that's not that pretty, is it? That ain't that pretty. That ain't that pretty on the NASDAQ. I mean, it's the exact level we talked about. 15,340 just showed us what we need to know, at least for right now. You know, whether there's some nasty fake outs today, what we just saw here this morning is exactly what you need to know. It just sort of gave you that sign, right? Look at this. Pop right into that previous low. Huge rejection off of it. It's giving you the insight, right? It's giving you the insight that we want. That definitely is giving us some insight. Right off supply. Not surprised. NVIDIA, 420 today. Right? That's the level. 420. If you break under that and you turn it into rejections, I don't think you're probably going to see much support until maybe this 400 area. So watch that 420 on NVIDIA today. Apple. So I tried to take a long on Apple yesterday, quickly got stopped out, and flipped short on Meta, which made my day. So this is a very weak stock still, right? So I tried to long. I was a little aggressive on it, but I took it light and tried to take a little quick scalp. I tried to long Apple off of this 180 level here after seeing this little hold, and then this thing just flipped on me and I took a loss. You guys can see right here. Look how clean this is. Look how clean this is on Apple. 180. Look at that rejection coming in. All right. If we can get another 180 rejection today, this could be a very nice trade, right? Let's look for the short sides off the 180 supply. You could possibly trade Apple back into the lows, 177s. The only concern I have for you, if you are short Apple today near that 180, is to just be aware of the 100 SMA below, right? Beware of this 100 SMA below on Apple. It's right here around that 177. That's the 100 SMA. That could possibly be another hold level for Apple today at the 177, 100 SMA. So just be careful of that today. But I would absolutely look for that 180 rejection on Apple. That is a very, That is a very nice little supply level that's showing very clearly right now on Apple. 180. Meta. So we finally got the 310 breakdown yesterday, right? Look at this. We finally got that 310 breakdown. We had support, support, support. We finally got the breakdown of 310. Very nice. Now, this little setup yesterday was a beauty. It was a beauty. I'm going to go to the 2-minute chart. This is the trade that we took yesterday in the chat. Congrats to you guys that took this one. This was a pretty clean setup yesterday. So here it is, right? We got that breakdown, right? We got that 310 flush. This happened without me, right? This flush happened without me. I was a little upset that I missed it, but I knew that if I get in this thing too low, I risk being bounced on, which is what I don't want to be stuck in. So what did I do? I stayed patient. I waited to see if we would reject this 20 SMA on a retest, right? Look at this. Break, retest, 20 SMA rejection. 20 SMA rejection around 309, and we did it again. What did we create here? Just a gorgeous little trend break here. I guess you can call this a wedge. You can call it a bear flag. Whatever it is, you know that if you break this uptrend here with a flat top, I think people call it like an ascending triangle. I'm not too familiar with the exact names of it, but I know I've seen this, right? And I know that if you break this little trend here on a little aggressive flush candle, right, there is a short side play here. And we nailed this thing. So really nice little second entry here on Meta yesterday. Original flush, stayed patient for the next real setup, right? And then a really clean secondary flush on Meta yesterday. What a clean little move there. So today, right? Today, what are you looking for? You're looking to see whether Meta rejects that 20 SMA again. Look at later in the day too, right? Look at this later in the day. Piff, I know you're there. I know you took this one, Piff. And nice trade there. Look at that little later in the day rejection of 20 SMA. So if you get any upside today, right? 310 right here. 310, 20 SMA. Watch for rejections there. If you break under 305, then you might get the continuation of the gap fill. If we go to the daily chart on Meta, if we zoom in here, Meta still has a little bit till that gap fill. The high of this candle is 301, 301.70, right? You might still have a little bit of downside under 305 today, maybe to fill the gap or even to retest this 290 level, right? So watch that 305 today. Watch that 310 today. Very, very clear. If you turn previous lows right here, if you turn these previous lows into rejections, it is as clear as day, right? So there you go. Meta. Okay. This is interesting. I'm not going to say that I'm that fond of it because I don't really know if I'm that confident in market upside on the tech side, right? Unless this whole market flips here, unless we really flip here on the NASDAQ at some point today or next week or the end of this week, there's a lot of eyes on this. And this is an Amazon potential bull flag, 4-hour bull flag after an earnings pop. If there is going to be any upside today, this is the first thing that I will be looking at. This will be the first thing I look for if there is any upside. I'd prefer another downside move here back into this 136 and then try to take it. But I would just say keep this on the chart, right? Keep this idea in the back of your head. 4-hour break, little slow channel retest back into the double top highs. We've seen this before, right? We have seen this before, and it has worked out before. Let me preface this real quick though, because when this setup worked, the NASDAQ, the S&P were rallying to the upside, right? So you have to sort of consider what market you're in. When we were getting these 4-hour break and retest flag breaks that were awesome trade setups, the market was going straight up. So, of course, that helps the case here if the market was sort of rallying higher. As of right now, I think you've lost a little bit of steam on the NASDAQ, right? You've seen that weakness creep in a little bit. So does this same setup work in the current market environment? That's just something you have to consider. So I just wanted to point it out, right? I'm not going to say whether this works or not. It's a very interesting little retest to the double top highs here on Amazon. And if you get any type of sniff of upside on the market, right? If you get any type of blood in the water for the bears, right? A little bit of upside. If you see any kind of bull run, I would be eyes on Amazon, right? If you see any bull run out there, I would be eyes on Amazon to see if this thing starts to set up. That's really all I could give you. I can't tell you that it's going to work out 100%. I wish I could, but you can clearly see that channel, right? You can clearly see that channel. It's very clear. And if you are to get the NASDAQ to break, right, this could absolutely break out. And I would absolutely be watching it today. The NASDAQ is recovering. The NASDAQ is recovering a little bit. So if you get over that, here's what I'd say. If you get over that 340 level on the NASDAQ right here, if you start to see some action to the upside today, this is where I'd be all eyes on today. This is what I'd be eyes on. Amazon bull flag. All right? That's what I'd be watching. I just want to talk about some semiconductor weakness. I really don't have much to share with you here, but the semiconductors have been losing sort of that buzz, I think. Just keep that in mind. Like the AI buzz has sort of died off. AMD's been shit. SMCI, really big downside since earnings and sort of, has stayed weak here this morning. NVIDIA got a little bit of a haircut yesterday. So just, I don't know. I just wanted to pop that in here. I don't have much for you. But just be careful. Just keep an eye on this semiconductor because it feels like that buzz is starting to fade away a little bit on the semis. But we'll see we'll see if that sort of fire gets ignited again on the semiconductors. But as of right now, AMD really, really dead. Just a total mess. NVIDIA got a pretty aggressive break yesterday. Probably sort of stays relatively weak here. That AI buzz is sort of going away. SMCI had bad earnings or just an overextended move that had a really aggressive downside. So I just wanted to pop that in. Just sort of a sector sort of feel. It feels like, we got a huge AI buzz. We got that huge semiconductor rally. And it seems like you're on the back half of it a little bit. All right, Netflix. Last one I got for you today is Netflix. I just wanted to point out the channel. That is still very valid here. And if you do get any type of channel break, there will be opportunity on Netflix, right? Netflix is not going to trade sideways like this forever. Watch 426, 440. Watch the channel on Netflix. There will be a move on Netflix outside of this channel. We just have to wait for it. So I just wanted to point that out. Last one, I just wanted to recheck Apple. Yeah, Apple 180. All right. All right, guys, that's all I got. You know what to watch today. If you long, right, you have no excuses. I'm gonna make you responsible here today. If you long before this level breaks today, you need to take a trading break. Do not trade tomorrow, right? Do not long the market into this level today, please. All right, you can already see what's going on. If you get a nice move above it, right? If you stay a little patient today. If you just look to see if this wants to hold on a little bit, right? Stay a little patient. Don't just start clicking buttons, right? Just wait to see if this holds. If this holds, you have the confirmation. And if you get a hold here at 340, there could be some very nice long setups there. But you need to wait for it. Unless you just want to be risky. Hey, I'm not telling you how to trade. I take back what I said. You do you. But I'm just trying to give you some advice here. There is no reason to be long here until you actually physically see this be held as a support. If you're long before that, you're just hoping and praying that this level breaks out because you think CPI is bullish, you think the market should go higher. There's no visible technical confirmation to long here until this actually holds. That, I think, is the difference for a lot of people between, consistency and just sort of guessing. You might get, right? Someone might come back to the stream tomorrow and say, hey, I was long at 15.3 and I made, $2,000 because it went through that level. Well, hey, you got lucky, right? Sometimes that's going to work. But I can tell you, if you want to stick around and trade for a long period of time, if you don't want to be a successful trader long term, you are going to need to find a way to wait for real confirmation, all right? Or you're just guessing, and the next time you long something under supply, this is going to happen, right? The next time you long something under supply, you're going to get stuck in a rejection play, and that's not what you want to be a part of. So if you're going to long today, look for the hold above. If you're going to short today, look for the continued rejections here. That's what I'd be watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Shout out ADR. Go to her channel. She live streams intraday. If you guys want to watch some intraday live streams, ADR trading charts right there in the chat. Yeah. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We are live here every day starting at 8 a.m. I'm going to do my Josh Answers impression here. Shout out to the Colt. Send in the Jets. We are live every day starting at 8 a.m. Click the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Max Profits, appreciate you. I can't trade, but I learn a lot. I appreciate that, Max Profits, and I hope that one day you can trade from the education that you're getting here. All right, guys, have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.